Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to another Red Out podcast. I am half your dynamic duo. Devin, how we doing tonight?
Doing great. Got the cold out of the way. Still got a little bit of a sniffle, but I'm ready to roll tonight.
Dude, you sound a heck of a lot better than you have been.
I appreciate that. I've been ODing on NyQuil about every night and chugging orange juice.
Who needs kidneys anyways, right?
Nah. I figured by now my kidneys are all gone, you know?
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah, all the stuff they got in the food.
Creatine.
Yeah, creatine from high school and all that good stuff.
So we got a pretty short show for you tonight. Not a lot happening with the tops athletically this time of year. All we've really got going is the lady top basketball and men's basketball just rolling. So we're going to talk that. We're going to update you on, I guess at this point, there's only one game left, so it all comes down to the last one on our bowl bracket, and then let you out of here pretty quick. So, Devin, do you want to start talking about how the lady tops have been rolling recently?
Yeah, looks like last time, I don't know if we talked about the MTSU game, but the Lady Tops won 57-43, beating the Raiders. Anytime that happens, that's a great thing.
Always awesome.
I don't care if it's like the Western chess team versus MTSU. We need to beat them every time because
absolutely,
it's hate. I'm sorry, guys. Then we got USM. The girls beat them. They ran away with 26 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's amazing. Girls are doing great out there as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, that's basically about it. And then let's see, who do we have next? We have...
You'll have to look. I don't have the schedule pulled up in front of me.
I got it right here.
Just to go a little bit into the women's game, the cool thing about beating MTSU like that, even though it was kind of a defensive slugfest, in fact, Coach Hart said we couldn't have thrown a ball in the ocean that night because the shooting was so just hard. But MTSU was actually pegged by a lot of the writers as the favorites to win Conference USA this year, and then Western right behind them. They thought the MTSU was going to overtake the Tops as conference favorites. And the Lady Tops have absolutely been just beating the crap out of everybody. And it looks like they're probably now the favorites to run away with at least the regular season title, if not the Conference USA tournament title as well.
Looks like they got FIU coming up on the 11th at 8 p.m. And then they play UAB on the 13th. UAB actually sits at the top of the conference right now at 13-2, and they're 2-0.
Oh, wow. 13-2
in conference
is a
play.
Really good record this time of year.
Yeah, so that may be a tough game for us, but I think we'll be pretty good. Lady Tops have done really well up to this point, and let's see if they can keep it rolling.
Yeah, I am thoroughly impressed. I mean, they've won the conference every single year that we've been in the conference. I mean, they're kind of like, they're not quite as dominant as our volleyball team, but they're darn near close. I mean, they are probably the second most as far as, like, from a winning the conference and record standpoint. They're probably the second most dominant squad that the Tops have since entering Conference USA. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And they got that really good freshman. What's her name? I know I just brought it up. I should have at least looked before I said it.
Yeah, no, I know exactly who you're talking about. She is amazing. She's averaging like 20-some points a game, or was there at the beginning of the season. And the recruiting classes just keep coming in for the Lady Tops. And it's pretty impressive what Coach Hart's been able to do since she got on the hill a couple years ago.
It's Miss Brown, isn't it? Tashia? No, she's a senior.
Brown. No,
she's a senior. I'm sorry.
She's been around a while. She is our leading scorer, and she's scored 20 in, like the last couple of games. She may have even set a record for most 20-point games by a Lady Topper, actually, this year. Tops basketball, in general, has been just blitzing this year. Now, the men have dropped a few squeakers, against Missouri Valley, or Missouri State, and Belmont, and that, which those are tournament teams. I don't really care about those too much. That one at Ohio really hurts, but they're setting all kinds of records this year. Justin Johnson is now 19th in scoring. He's liable to, or at least tied for 20th. He's liable to end up in the top 15 of scoring all time WKU by the end of this season. Tavion Hollingsworth is going to surpass the freshman scoring record. It's just going to, unless Josh Anderson might have something to say about that, but I don't think he's going to catch up after missing 15 games.
Yeah, the race is basically half over there.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a miracle if he said it. But
I mean, he would be.
We'll talk about him in a minute.
Oh yeah, I mean, he'd be shooting like Steph Curry. But yeah, the girls are, like you said, girls are doing great. Expect them to keep doing what they're doing, and hopefully bring home another Conference USA title.
Yeah. Now moving to the men's side of things. So we had games. I don't know how many we. The last time we talked was like the 29th, so several games have happened since then. We squeaked by, I think we talked about La Tech just squeaking by them 69-68. That game was a bit of a surprise. The La Tech came into this season supposedly being pretty good, had some early non-con wins and some close losses, taking Alabama to the wire. They were pretty impressive. Then they kind of started to stutter, and I want to say that they lost a couple in a row, maybe 3 or 4 in a row. And when the Tops started to play them, you were really thinking they were going to smoke them, like, double-digit victory. And the Tops just did not fire on all cylinders that night. It ended up being 69-68, which, I will take wins where I can get them, especially against a team that's probably going to be in the top 100 in the RPI come the end of the season. Then we had a really good game against Southern Miss, beat them by double digits, and that was no surprise to anybody. Southern Miss is kind of down basketball-wise this year, and especially on the men's side, and I don't look for that to be considered a quality win come resume time. However, it does keep us undefeated in the conference, and the piece de resistance, freaking Marshall last night, oh my gosh, what a game. Now, I'm guessing you didn't get to see any of it because Stadium was down for like 3/4 of the game.
Yeah, I didn't get to see any of that. I missed all of that.
Yeah. So let's just start off with this. WKU has one of the best broadcast journalism programs in the country. They're very, very good. There's a truck. I mean, Devin, when you were there, like, you saw what the production quality was, for football.
Oh, yeah.
Game day stuff. I mean, they have a freaking truck. It's like an RV filled with gear.
Oh yeah. I mean, it from when I started at Western, which was like nobody, and I mean basically just radio crews, to when I left Western, which was like camera crews running up and down the sidelines and the trucks, and I mean the camera RV thing. I don't even know what you call that thing. Going up and down the sideline.
Giant satellite on top.
Yeah, I mean, everything changes, and it just shows how the people that are back in Western are doing to keep everything running the way it should.
Yeah, and it's really sad to me that we still don't have a deal with either like a more of a direct deal with another like cable provider. Because Stadium, look, I'll say this, Stadium's free, and they stream their crap on Twitter, and you know what? You get what you pay for when something is free, right? So I'll give you that. Now, we can pay for Hilltopper Sports Network. They have a pretty good setup, and if you're in the local area, you can get it on WKYU, the local television station that Western puts out. They do a great job of it, and if you watch them, you actually have the call with Randy Lee and Hal Schmidt, which is usually really, really good. You get a lot of holy molies, which is awesome. But Stadium, on the other hand, is a national crew who I don't know if they're there, to be honest with you, or if they're doing like the screen watch thing. But the big bugaboo last night was that for a little over half the game, the Stadium stream was down. You could not watch the game, and even when it came back, sound was in and out, quality was poor. It's just really sad. Now, they have issued an apology on Twitter and on their various social media sites, and they're offering the game again as like a rewatch if you want to watch it, which is nice. I might go back and watch it just to watch them.
I was gonna say, spoiler alert, man. Jeez, if we go back and watch it, we're already gonna know what's gonna happen.
Well, anybody who's paying attention knows what happens, because even Mid-Major Madness was tweeting about it. The Western absolutely beat the brakes off Marshall. Came in on the road as a 1-point underdog, which was interesting because they were like point favorites, and then Josh Anderson became eligible, and then all the money began to come in, or all the money, whatever money would be in bet, came in on Marshall, and they're just like, what? Like, have you guys seen? Whatever, fine.
That's probably. Let me tell you, that's probably just people just randomly picking, and they're like, Marshall's been doing pretty good, and then they're just like throwing it down. I don't think it's really known a lot.
3-point swing, so okay, fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm. That's just my guess is that people are picking the name that they know best in Las Vegas because I don't think they realize A, who Josh Anderson was, and B, I don't think they really know who we are. So, hope y'all lost.
The Sharks are betting Marshall Western. Like, that's not, they're like, oh crap, there's some value, Marshall Western. Like, what? Nah,
it's probably a bunch of Marshall fans. It's probably a bunch of Marshall fans, honestly. I mean, I can easily see that. That's kind of like UK.
Lots of sad ones this weekend.
Oh, I'm fine with that. Sad. Oh, I'm good with that, and especially since it didn't cover apparently either. So.
No, they did not. Not even close. So I had to follow it via the Twitter and radio until the stream came back. But golly, it seemed like for those of you that have no idea about Marshall or coming into this season, Marshall has lit us up every year we've played them in the conference pretty much. With the 3-ball. Marshall is a very good 3-shooting team. They're a top 5 scoring offense in the country right now, averaging well over 80 points a game. Now, their defense is one of the worst in the country, which was evident by Western's score. But John Elmore is an absolute stud. He's sneaky athletic, which is, what everybody says when you have a really good white, like 2 guards. Sneaky athletic,
That's funny.
He's a high basketball IQ. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
You're talking about a 6'2" white guy, aren't you?
Yeah,
I absolutely am.
Yeah, they have like code words they used so they're not racist. Yeah,
right, exactly.
Love that. Yeah, they talked about that on the league before, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
He's a firecracker. Yeah.
What?
I said, yeah, he's a real firecracker.
Yeah, firecracker. Yep, he's a small little white dude. They had this thing apparently on U of L back in the day when this guy Perrin Johnson when he played. And there was a standing rule on the team, on Patino's team. It was called the white guy rule. And the white guy rule was, if you had a white dude who was shorter than 6'6", you did not worry about him on the inside. But if he was, you had to stay on him on the 3. You would never because you knew he was out there for one reason and one reason only.
Oh, yeah.
He was there to drink 3s.
That's funny, yeah, but that's true. Yeah, I can understand
white
that.
Guy rule.
It's pretty legit. I don't know. I don't think Brad Calipari falls under that rule though.
No, God,
no. I think he is under 6'3". Is he under 6'3" or is he about 6'3"? Random question. I know.
I mean, Cal's not a short guy.
Well, no, he's not a short guy, but he's
probably 6 something. I'm sure Brad can tear it up in the intramurals, but
well, who can't?
He is dead last on UK's bench. Like,
he's 6'2".
See, there you go. White guy rule. Shooter.
Yeah, but I don't think he can shoot.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't watched Brad Calipari play this year. I've only watched the tail end of a couple of UK games. I watched all of the UK Louisville game, which was a disaster for Louisville.
Yeah.
So he got some time in that. I think actually I might have turned it off when they started losing by points. This is a joke. Like, they're going to clear the bench and this is going to be fine.
I was wrong. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I was wrong. Brad's at 6. He's 6 foot even.
6 foot even.
Yes, okay. But I can tell you, Brad, he's not the best player in the world, and I mean this with a lot of respect because I imagine that someday he'll be coaching like his father. He, at one point, I can't remember what game it is. Of course, the guys on KSR were talking about it, and they said he was at minus 19. For non-basketball people, that means that Brad went out there, and instead of scoring, the guy he was guarding got 19 points. So yes, that is awful.
Yeah, it's real bad. Like that's the plus minus is so when you're in the game, right? That means you account for 19 points of offense. When you're out of the game, if he was a plus 19, in the game, minus 19, he is in some way costing you 19 points. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they were up, from what I remember, they were up by 30 in this game. They put Brad in, and they lost. The other team got up by 19. They pulled him out, and then they went on ahead. And I was like, oh my God. And from what I remember, it was not a great team.
I don't know, it's probably Albany or somebody.
I think it was Vermont or Albany, but yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, those are both tournament teams, but still not compared to a powerhouse D1 school, which apparently this year there are not many because Michigan State just got spanked by Ohio State by 20.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and UK lost to Tennessee, who, and everybody's like, oh, no, come tournament time, everybody's going to find out the SEC is an absolute paper tiger, but most conferences this year are. There's just not a lot of great basketball being played. I
agree with that. Tennessee's actually pretty good this year, though.
Yeah, I mean, they're ranked like 22 or something.
No, I think they're actually like 16. They were like 15 or 16th, I think.
Well, again, I am very skeptical. I think Alabama's fairly decent. I'm now, of course, they've got a player who's like out indefinitely, but outside of Florida and maybe Kentucky, once they if they get their stuff together, I do not have a lot of faith this year in the SEC. The Big 12 is probably the best conference right now between Kansas and Oklahoma. They're probably the strongest conference right now. But like I said, we're not about halfway through the season. So
I didn't think Kansas.
See where everybody ends up.
I didn't think Kansas was that good this year, honestly. And I agree with you. Historically, the SEC is not that good. And whenever anybody says that Alabama's basketball team's doing better, I'm always skeptical.
Right.
But
they had a heck of a squad last year, and they would be this year, but I think they've got a kid suspended is the main issue with them.
But yeah, I agree. But I do agree historically. Florida's usually pretty good. Kentucky's usually pretty good, but again, like you said, they usually have to work out a bunch of stuff before tournament time comes along. I don't think this team's going to go as far as other teams have. Right now, Florida sits on top of the SEC at 3-0. Kentucky is 2-1, and Auburn is 2-0. So,
Kentucky should have lost to Georgia. I watched the second half of that game, and I just don't know what it is about Georgia playing the Cats, but Georgia needs to get over that hump because they absolutely outplayed Kentucky in that. But if you do not outplay them by enough to beat them at home, you're going to lose, and that's what happens on any big-time floor. Home court's going to give you 3 or 4 points, and that's about what the Cats won by down to the wire.
Yeah, and I mean we experienced that big time with the Wisconsin game, and it looks
that's
like
part of it, though.
Yeah, it looks like talking about Big 12. Looks like Texas Tech and what? That can't be right. West Virginia's in the Big 12.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, West Virginia's been in the Big 12 since 2012 or 13. They've been in the Big 12. Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense, but sure enough.
Yeah, that just blows my mind because I was like, that's got to be a misprint. No, apparently Texas Tech and West Virginia sit atop the Big 12.
Really good this year, and Texas Tech's coach is going to get absolutely paid.
Yeah,
after this year.
Oklahoma, Kansas are actually tied for third with 2-1 record. Oklahoma. Yeah, okay. Like I said, Oklahoma. I don't know. Of course, a lot can change in basically 2 months, so we'll just have to see where everybody falls. I imagine that Kansas will be a 1 or 2 seed, just because it's Kansas.
Yeah, it all comes down to where the rest of this conference shakes out, because the conference is strong enough that they get a couple of good wins, they could be on one of those top, 2 or 3 seed lines. But at this point, I don't know who the 1 seeds are going to be. I mean, it could be Arizona State; they're rocking it right now. Could be Michigan State, but they just lost to Ohio State. I pity the committee this year. That's all I'll say, because I would not want to be in their shoes.
Usually, from what I've experienced, it feels like a lot of it's a legacy thing too. So your Dukes, your Kentuckys, your Kansases, Michigan State, I feel like they get a better seed normally than some of these smaller teams that are more unknowns.
Well, yeah, and a lot of that comes from scheduling, and it's just like with the College Football Playoff Committee. I will say I listen to a few radio hosts now who have participated in these mock selection committees for the NCAA. And what they do is they get a bunch of media members together, and the selection committee actually instructs them on the process and how they scrub the list. And currently these use the RPI, which is kind of a crap system, but whatever. They are switching away from it after this year, which is a really interesting summer topic, right? Like what the new thing is going to be. Is it going to be like ESPN's BPI? Is it going to be more like KenPom? How are they going to do it? But they look at your resume. They do top 100 wins, top 50 wins, top 25 wins. They do the same thing for and then sub. Then they do the same thing for losses, and then they look at geography. So those are kind of the three things, and it does stink for smaller schools because you get a team like for Western, for instance, our conference, though doing a lot better this year, doesn't necessarily have a lot of opportunities in conference play to get top 50 wins. This year, if MTSU hangs around, they've got a chance. Western does to get a top 50 win over them. If UAB ends up being great like they're supposed to be, then that might be one. But you can't get them in conference. And some of that, like you said, is legacy. Whereas Kentucky, on the other hand, besides having a fairly decent non-con in Louisville and Kansas and UCLA, they even in their conference, are going to play Florida. They're going to play Tennessee's fairly decent this year. And those schools are also going to play decent out of conference. So it does favor Power Fives or Six if you count the AAC or the Big East. But it's a heck of a lot better than football. There's at least some criteria.
Well, I mean, it's also bigger than football, too.
Definitely is.
In the fact that, I mean, it is basically a big playoff. And, you've got 60.
Never released criteria. They've never said, okay, we rank these wins. Boom, boom, boom. We take into account geography, and then we literally go by the number. Boom, boom. The BCS tried to do that, but it was only 2. So.
Well, the BCS was more computer related too. This is supposed to be based more off committee, and that's what I think it makes it a little more biased in some relation, though. Of course,
it does. It definitely does.
Well, you've got presidents, or not? Was it ADs and managers and people from the schools?
It's all kinds of people. Yeah, you got ADs and you've got former coaches and you've got former officials and Condoleezza Rice. Whoever.
Well, I will say that Condi, I actually heard an interview with her when she was first appointed to the committee. And Condoleezza Rice is a very intelligent lady, first off. And second off, her dad was a big... Her dad was a big sports guy. I want to say he was some kind of ref or something. Y'all can do a wiki search on that at some point and do a little fact checking. But he was a big sports person, and that's where she was either going into politics or she was going into sports. And so that's what she did. Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting interview.
That's why they plunked her on the committee.
That's why she got plopped on the committee. Of course, there's some people that have... Yeah, there's some people that have actually asked if she wants to go for the NFL job and take Goodell's job. I think she'd be really good.
Someone to take Goodell's job.
Somebody needs to take Goodell's job. That's about the only time I've ever agreed with Jerry Jones, but,
Yeah, right.
And, of course... The greatest meme ever is the South Park thing with the Goodell bot.
I don't know if I know Goodell bot, but I know
you haven't seen the Goodell bot.
Chameleon eyes is pretty good.
My eyes ain't too far apart. Love that part.
You're right, Jerry. No, they're not.
That's the greatest thing.
Each on the fly, Jerry. Calm down.
Yeah. And I was wrong. I was just scrolling here on WKU. Kentucky was number 17. Tennessee was number 23. So I got those two switched, yeah. So we talked Kentucky. What about Louisville? You think they're going to do anything this year?
No, absolutely not. I think so. Lenardi right now has got them as an 11 seed, playing one of the playing games actually, which I've never understood why 11 seeds are playing games, but whatever. So, yeah, he's actually got him playing in to go. I don't remember, but he's got him as an 11 right now. And that's before the meltdown yesterday at Clemson.
Yeah.
Look, now, full disclosure, Clemson's okay.
Clemson's
not bad.
Clemson's sitting at the top of y'all's conference right now, it looks like.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll finish there. Who
No.
they play besides Louisville?
I don't have it in front of me. But
yeah,
Clemson is
very many people. Yeah.
Well, Clemson
and the ACC.
Clemson is 3-0. Virginia's 3-0. Virginia very easily could finish at the top.
Absolutely.
And Notre Dame is 3-0. And yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking any one of those three. And I'm not knocking Louisville at all. I think it's more coaching.
Oh, we should absolutely knock Louisville. David Padgett is in way over his head. They should not have... Look, okay, so I'm sure you saw the story about Kenny Payne, right?
No, I haven't, but go ahead.
Okay, so I figured Can't already talk about it. So Kenny Payne, the assistant coach at Kentucky, master recruiter, king of the AAU circuit. A bunch of players, actually, from the Denny Crum era, from like the 80 and 86 championship teams, had told Rick Bozich, a Louisville journalist, WDRB, that they think that Kenny would be the best coach to come into Louisville and resurrect the program, right? Save the program. Which, on some level, as former players, I understand that. However, let me counter with, I do not give a crap what former players think. Because they are not coaches, they're not ADs, they dumb. So, I say that to say that when one of the reasons they picked David Padgett, besides the fact that he was incredibly cheap and already knew the kids, was that the players said they wanted him to be the coach. They wanted Coach Padgett. Fine, but he's too young to coach this program. He's not a good in-game coach. He's just not. He melted absolutely down against Kentucky. He had no idea what he was doing. The same thing happened against Clemson in the final seconds yesterday. He could not draw up a play to get anybody open. Our tiny little white boy, Ryan McMahon, almost saved him in overtime. But it was just an absolute... He cannot control Dang Adele, right? Their 6'6" star slashing three player. It is an absolute joke what's going on this season with the Cards. They have the talent to be much better than they're playing. They just have absolutely given up, and it is a joke. If they make the tournament, they will be a very, very terrible seed. They will lose in the first or second round. I don't even know if they'll make it to the second round. If they do, they will get absolutely obliterated because they cannot play. They don't have any leadership. They don't have any senior leadership. Q Snyder is a great dude, and he's a great kid, and there are times when he shines, but he has the worst time management skills I've ever seen in my life. It's just, no. I think by the time it's all said and done, I think Western could take them this year. I mean, I really do. And they've got more talent than us. But I think Western could beat them by 5. I think if Western played them at Diddle, they could beat them by 5 or 6. No joke. Neutral court, it's a toss-up. There's absolutely no... The Cards are a joke this year. The absolute joke. Now, I did hear, and this is the stupidest thing, but whatever. As I was getting our Toyota worked on, because we had to have a recall airbags replaced.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was sitting there, whatever. It was free, so thank God. Anyways, I'm sitting there at Swope Toyota in E-Town, and there's a gentleman there who works there. I have no idea what his name is. And he's a little fan, and we were watching the game because they have a really nice waiting area. And he said, "Oh, yeah, Chris Mack thing's already done." And I said, "Really? How you know that?" He said, "Oh, well, yeah, my wife graduated with Chris Mack's wife, and she's done talked to her and said she knows that Chris Mack's already going to be there." And my first thought was, you are full of 6 kinds of poopy. There is no way. You're just a big hunk of space poopy. It is not. There's no way you know that. There's no way that deal is already done. And even if it was, Chris Mack's wife, your wife would have to be best friends with her and still probably wouldn't know.
Yeah,
so
I mean...
for what it's worth, maybe
funny.
Chris, from the random Swope Toyota guy, not sponsored, but we would love to be. I would love a new Tundra Swope. I'm a loyal Toyota family man. But... yeah, oh gosh, what an absolute joke the Louisville Cardinals are this year.
Zan, I'm going to let you run them down, but since you're such a big fan, and obviously I'm a UK fan, so I'm going to pick on UK.
I am. I've got a degree sitting over here that says University of Louisville on it. It makes me sad right now because they suck so bad.
Well, I mean, it happens every year. Your teams go up and down. I do agree that I think they are lacking in leadership. I think David Padgett is the reason for that. I do agree. I think the players wanted somebody they knew, and David Padgett was the cleanest one left.
Yeah.
Kenny Payne.
The only one the FBI wasn't like, okay, we're going to arrest him later.
Yeah, exactly. But Kenny Payne, I think, I don't know about the guys from Denny Crum's era. I don't think they're going to have a lot of experience with that. But I think that Kenny Payne may have the experience to help Louisville. It's not going to be as fun of a rivalry, especially with a guy coming from UK to coach. But I would actually like to see them go out and get an older coach to help out Louisville, but who they'll get, I don't know. I think they need... It sounds bad, but they need Stansbury or somebody of that level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what they need and what you're describing is a proven head coach at another university.
Yeah, like
I said, the favorite in the ballpark, or the favorite right now, is Chris Mack. He's the coach at Xavier over in Cincinnati. He goes to the tournament every year with a bunch of small white kids and like one really good athlete. So I mean, who knows? We'll see. But
Louisville
would catch on fire if they hired Kenny Payne.
I mean, yeah, of course. But it would be pretty funny if it is true that the Xavier coach does go to Louisville, and we'll have to credit the dude from the Swope dealership in E-Town.
If that happens, I'm going to go, buy him a beer. So it's like, you heard it here first. I had a guy. I got one source that says it's already done. January 7th. He says it's done.
All right. Good job, Scoop.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, I hope Louisville does well because it makes the rivalry more legit.
Yeah.
It's more fun to watch when you have that arch rival on the other side of the state. It's more fun to watch.
Yep, absolutely.
And speaking of rivalry, beating Marshall by 25 points? Is that right?
Yeah. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, Sorry.
I can't do math. Yeah, 112 to, 87?
Yeah, 112 to 87. I don't have Alexa right down here next to me. So
that's the most points Western has scored at all since Belmont in 94.
But seriously, though, 112 to 87, that's going to make this next game they play us that much more exciting.
Absolutely. I cannot wait. And they'll be on our floor, which will be even better.
Oh, that makes it even better. I'm hoping to get the Kings out of stadium so we can watch that. So, talking bowl bracket real quick. I did a preliminary scoring today.
Two things on...
Go right ahead.
Josh Anderson, because we didn't get to Josh Anderson because I went off on a rant on the cards. He finally cleared eligibility. Everybody probably already knows that now, so that's great. He's the absolute truth. He looks like an NBA player on a squad full of not NBA players. Several dishes for slams for him. He had 16 points in his debut. He threw up at halftime because he's not quite in basketball, super basketball shape yet.
Well, I mean, he missed 15 games, so it's understandable.
Yeah, he said, I threw up at halftime, but I was okay. Dude's an absolute monster, and I think you're going to see him after he performs pretty good, for a few more games, you're going to see him crack the starting lineup. The dude's an absolute monster, and I cannot wait to see him just break record after record after record at Western. Okay, ball brackets. Here we go.
No, you are fine. That was actually a really good preview for Josh Anderson. I can't wait for him to play. I mean, it's all the pieces at Western are just falling into place, and this is making
the cleared yang. We'll be good to go.
It's like I told you earlier. It's making Conference USA that much more exciting for us because it's ours for the taking, literally. We're sitting at the top right now with MTSU and Old Dominion, and we've got those two coming up. ODU
is on Thursday.
ODU is Thursday at 8 o'clock, and that's at ODU. And then we play MTSU on the 20th. That's the next time we play them. But then we got Charlotte on the 13th at Charlotte, and we got UAB on the 18th. So be looking for that, guys, so you can help follow the tops around. And bowl bracket. You ready?
Yeah, where do we sit?
Okay. After all the preliminary games, you have 20 points. I wrote down every team that you got right to help me keep track because I'm not very good at keeping track with stuff.
Okay.
You had 19 correct.
Oh, I had 19 correct. Oh, sorry, I thought you said 20.
No. You have 19 correct. I had 18 correct. But, however, also, I gave you a +1 because you got Georgia in the championship game.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take that.
But you had Clemson win the game, so I can't give you points for that tonight.
Nope, so I'm tapped out.
Yeah, you're tapped out. I'm tapped out because I actually had Clemson and Oklahoma, so there was no chance for me to come back and get you. But looks like you got us on the... You got me on the initial read out bracket challenge. So congratulations, buddy.
Golf clap. Golf clap. Dude, sheer dumb luck and one web page.
Yeah, I'm giving you the Brett Favre clap, sorry.
The Brett Favre. Nice. That's Brett Favre. He comes and hangs out at Western every once in a while. Anytime Southern Miss Volleyball comes to town, which is pretty sweet.
Does he really?
Yeah, he was at Diddle twice this year.
Does he wear Levi jeans? That's what I picture.
You mean Wranglers?
Is it Wranglers he does the commercial for?
Yeah, I think he's Wrangler. He wears Wrangler jeans and those copper fit braces.
I mean, it's like you got to be like a walking ad at his age.
Dude, I would be. Sign me up. Advertise whatever you want. I don't care.
I actually saw a really funny ad for him on Facebook. They were talking about how funny Brett Favre is, and it was just like random excerpts from him playing. Like asking the ref what time the game started and just all this funny shit. It was great.
I bet Brett Favre's pretty funny guy.
Oh
he looks like he could cut up pretty good.
Yes, he does. I agree completely. I don't have anything else unless you do.
I don't either. Like I said, short this week would have been shorter if I hadn't gotten started on our in-state basketball compatriots. But yeah, we're really looking forward to a big game against Old Dominion. Don't let
doing
who
it
doesn't, but they are 3-0 in conference, and they are playing us at home, so they'll be on their court. The lines don't come out for college basketball till like the day of, essentially. But we will see. Hopefully the Tops can come into if they get past this one. I'm not. No offense, Charlotte. Not too worried about Charlotte this year. UAB usually pretty good. The big game on our horizon, I think, as far as fans, after this one, is obviously Middle Tennessee at home on the 20th of January. I'm going to try to actually make that one live. But yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. Also subscribe if you're listening to this on iTunes, because we're so official. We're on iTunes now.
Yeah, and don't forget to like us either.
Yeah, like, subscribe.
Share, do it all.
Share, comment, tweet at us. I'm trying to think if there's any other way.
If you have any questions, feel free to tweet at us. If you want to hear something else on our podcasts or whatever, if you want to hear us talk about something else, feel free to comment and just throw it out there. Besides makeup, we're not very good with that, but we can't talk about I said we can't talk about makeup, so my wife watches a lot of that. So
not a beauty guru.
No, I'm quite the opposite. I'm sitting in a pair of sweatpants with a Jurassic Park T-shirt on, so.
I think I've got a Pokemon Go sweatshirt on.
Yes.
And also
sweatpants. Also, I want to kind of preview. I'm thinking about starting a Let's Play. So if you all have any ideas what games would be great to play, shout it out, and I'll be sure to take your thoughts into consideration.
All right, guys. Have a good week, and as always, go Tops.